Hey guys, J&M Sports Talk, Mark and Jonathan here to recap bowl season for you. We're just going to go over some of the games of interest, a lot of SEC recaps, but
For sure.
some other games too. So let's start out with the Outback Bowl, South Carolina and Michigan. Jonathan.
Yeah, did we ever get an over-under on how many times they showed the Clowney hit, even before the game? And, yeah. This game was definitely heated. You can tell these teams, they watched that video a couple times. There was even, like, some fights during the week leading up to it. And that just correlated to a great game on the field. You know, both teams fought their hearts out.
Yeah, for Michigan, they got off to an early lead, looked really promising, but credit South Carolina for coming back. Bentley had a heck of a second half, and that was a really good win for South Carolina.
It was, yeah. Moving forward, it looks like Debo might be coming back for them next year, too. So look out for Bentley, another year wiser. That defense getting more and more like a Will Muschamp defense. Great for them.
Yeah, I know they were your team going into this year, but hey, next year it's realistic to think about.
Yeah, and any Michigan fans, keep your heads up. You know, y'all may have lost this bowl game, but y'all won bowl season off the field recruiting. Because looks like you're getting half the Ole Miss offense from last year. So y'all got Shea Patterson included in that. So move forward, you got like you're going into the off season as well.
Yeah, another game that caught my eye was Texas and Missouri. Texas completely shut Missouri down.
You did.
In that one.
Yeah, this is the games, you know, we talk about there's some coaching changes happening, how our team's going to respond. You know, we thought there was going to be a couple of these letdowns in the bowl season. There one, Oregon was another. You just tell these players having to get up and not having their coaches, it affects them. You know, when they're doing so well, especially, too, when they knew, okay, I can count on coach being there when, all right, this comes up. And he's not there now. So you can tell, though, there's a letdown, but got to give credit to Texas finishing the year the way it was turning toward the end of the year, too.
Yeah. Tom Herman, I wouldn't have wanted to play his team at the end of the season. The whole regular season was based on him getting his feet underneath them, and I think Texas will be a team to look out for moving forward. All right, let's talk about Wake Forest and Texas A&M. That was a offensive shootout.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if anybody saw that coming.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a great game. You know, you can tell a lot of the Wake Forest, a lot of the guys were just. You can tell they've been beat up by some good teams in the ACC this year. You can tell that having that extra time bowl prep, it can do wonders for a team. It's like having another camp, and you can tell they came out with a different edge. And yeah, Texas A&M, you got to wonder where their head was half the game. They go from their coach being fine, they thought. So he's gone, and we've already got another coach. And all the drama Florida State was dealing losing their coach. And then all of a sudden they have their coach already, and they're wondering, oh, is my job safe or not? So you got to wonder if that played a factor in it some. And then, because especially on the defensive side, though, they couldn't stop Wake Forest at all. But luckily their offense was able to keep it up for them. But
yeah, great win for the ACC and Wake Forest.
Oh, it is.
I think Texas A&M will be fine with Jimbo Fisher
going
forward, but that was 55-52. Just couldn't have predicted that score out of that one.
We thought maybe one team would have got stopped.
What about the Northwestern and Kentucky game, Jonathan? What did you see in that one?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good game. You know, there was some definitely two teams that were very evenly matched. I thought it was going to be a really good game, and I was worried for Kentucky this game going into overtime, and it almost did. But, yeah, one of the biggest takeaways for me, unfortunately, was the officials ejecting Benny Snell during the game. Early on, it says questionable call targeting on a running back. They call it on him, and they eject him. And, you know, Kentucky, it took them a while to figure their offense out after that. Thankfully, they were able to get back in this game, though. Their quarterback, he was just a gutsy kid. He made some long runs on there that, like, there's a couple times you want to protect your future, you want to get down, and he just kind of like, no, we need that 5 yards. And he was going and getting that extra 5 on some plays. So credit him, and when it's all said and done, the coach trusted him to put his game in his hand, go for 2 there, to not get an overtime against these Wildcats that love OT.
Yeah, Northwestern, I think they won 3 games, 3 straight games.
Yeah.
And not just 3 games in the regular season, but 3 straight games in overtime. So Kentucky, they go down and score, and so they have a decision to make. Do we go for 2 or do we just kick the extra point going to overtime?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they decided to go for 2, and that's always a tough decision, but it didn't work out. But credit them for coming back in that one.
Yeah, and the coach putting it in that quarterback's hands and trusting him to do that. That's gotta be more for that coach and quarterback relationship than a win-loss too.
Yeah. Let's talk about LSU and Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What did you see in that one?
Yeah, so it was kind of a bad weather game a little bit. So they were playing a little slop, but it was a good game. This is another game where teams were matched up. You didn't really know what you're going to get from either offense, and we didn't get much from them. But say both teams evenly matched really well. I'll say unfortunate LSU just wasn't able to pull it out there.
Yeah, that Notre Dame receiver made a catch with a game-winning touchdown,
Mm-hmm.
and he really difficult catch, kind of a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And I don't think the defenders were expecting it, but he put on a couple of juke moves and went down the sideline and scored. And
Yeah.
that was late in the game, and LSU didn't have enough gas to come out ahead. So really, for me, I thought LSU was going to win that game, and it was surprising to see Notre Dame. They kind of fell apart late in the season.
Right.
They were a top 5 team late until they went to Miami. People were thinking they might make the playoff, but their season kind of tanked. So it was good for Notre Dame to get that victory to top the season.
Which was good for them because I thought there's several teams that were playing good this year that I thought were playing above themselves, and they were definitely one of them. But they were one of the few I thought were very senior heavy. So there was they had a lot of seniors on that team. Great for them to get that final win. They gutted it out to get it. Where there's a lot of teams maybe in Miami, for instance, that was playing above themselves. They're a young team. They're playing above. So moving forward, it'll be interesting to see Notre Dame move forward. LSU, they're looking for another offense coordinator again. They seem to be like the Florida of the West. They got a little more talent than Florida on the offensive side, so it's not as bad normally, but they still can't seem to get a consistent offense going, even when they've had elite players at positions like Fournette even last year.
Yeah.
So we'll see moving forward how they do.
Yep. Let's talk about a surprise game that everybody was so adamant about Louisville beating Mississippi State. That was kind of the lock game of the bowl season.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, Mississippi State comes out, plays great defense, completely outplays Louisville the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
They got off to an early lead and were able to hold on at the end. But Thompson, the QB, stepping in, getting his first start.
Yep.
In there for Fitzgerald. He does enough with his legs, just enough with his arms, but mainly his legs, and they get enough output on offense to beat Lamar Jackson.
It's funny you say just enough. Sometimes some of the passes are so ugly at times that he gets off. It looks like he just enough to get to the receiver. But yeah, moving forward, got to talk about Grantham's defense though in this game as well. They're you tell their side, we'll let Lamar Jackson get what he's going to get, but they shut down everyone else, and they put Lamar in some situations he didn't like being in a lot of 3rd and longs to keep this offense in it, where Lamar had to make some decisions he didn't like to make, and they made him pay with some mistakes too. So I thought it was a great effort by the defense there as well.
Yeah, after the game, Lamar Jackson decides to enter the NFL draft, and I just wanted to highlight him too. He always put up video game numbers.
Yeah.
Won a Heisman Trophy as a sophomore, came back, put up more video game numbers, and people just kind of overlooked him. I mean, we will probably look back on that and say that we didn't appreciate that enough because he routinely put up 400 passing yards, 100 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns a game. And we just kind of sighed and said, "Oh, that's just Lamar Jackson."
Yeah.
So great athlete. Just wanted to highlight that for him. But yeah, great win for Mississippi State. Dan Mullen leaves and goes to Florida, and they still get the victory. So credit them. All right, let's talk about another good game: Auburn and UCF.
So this is the one I'm sure everyone's waiting to hear us talk about this one.
Yeah.
I have 2 thoughts about this game. The first one. UCF's a great team. They deserved it. I'm not taking anything away from them. That we thought, this is gonna be a tough game for Auburn. They're a good team. We talked about them all year, especially the back half of the year. How impressed we were with them as a team. And the only negative to this whole game was I felt again there was a bad call by an official, which I wouldn't call it a call. It was more of not doing what he's taught to do. And I made a Facebook rant about this, but I don't know how many of our viewers saw it. But when there's situations where, if you didn't know, early in the game, Auburn had a fumble. The defender picked it up, was running it downfield. No, there was only closest player was about 10 yards away, and it was another Auburn guy. So he was clearly going to score a touchdown, and they blew it dead. And they went back and they gave us the fumble. But they said he was down. So what the officials taught to do in that situation is they're supposed to let that play finish, and then go back and review whether he was down or not.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the official decided to blow the call dead, so that it was just Auburn's ball there. So instead of getting that huge momentum early in the game, big defensive touchdown, the defense getting excited and all, they just got the ball, which is still a big play. They had a chance to do something with it, but it's not the same as getting that big touchdown off the turnover, And I thought that kind of like, at that moment, you can tell there was a bit of a mood change, and UCF thought, we can play with them. They're able to hold Auburn to a field goal, and from then on, it was a great game. Don't get me wrong, UCF played their guts out. It was unfortunate that there was a play like that, took a touchdown away, and yet Auburn ends up losing by a touchdown. It's kind of a bitter thing especially for fans. But at the same time, I'm not giving credit to UCF enough. They deserve to win that game. It's just unfortunate that was part of them winning it.
Yeah, for sure. And I would have loved to see that game go into overtime because that was a great game. It was not a blowout at all. It was kind of back and forth. Two takeaways for me was, number one, Griffin, the UCF defensive player. He deserves his shot in the NFL, even with one hand. He definitely took it to Auburn. And it wasn't just a couple of plays here and there.
No.
It was every single down. He was
in
the Auburn
tackles again.
He was in the Auburn backfield and putting pressure on him. So credit him. I was blown away by that.
Yeah.
Number two was Milton, the quarterback for UCF. First half, Auburn completely shuts him down. Has a horrible first half. I think he missed his first 10 or 11 passes. Just horrible. And he overcomes it in the second half and is lights out. And if it wasn't for him, I would say that UCF wouldn't have been there at the end. He made several throws that not many people that can make, and he used his legs to kind of get around the Auburn defense. The Auburn defense played really good football, and it was a testament to UCF and their players and being able to do enough and get that victory.
Exactly. I was saying, the defense. Yeah, the defense was playing normal. I mean, they held a lot of guys to no. Holland did not have but a sack till midway. They think it's like midway. It was like the mid-third quarter before Holland got his only sack. So the offensive line took that defensive line challenge, and they were able to do enough to get them to compete in that game. So they had a chance. So that was the biggest thing. If you have trouble against Auburn's defensive line, you have no shot. But the fact that Auburn was having to bring blitzes was putting more pressure on the secondary, which gave him time to make those plays. But I agree with you about Shaq as well. There's an opening in Carolina now. He's glad for him to take. Thomas Davis is gone. Again, hats off to them. Great year. We'll talk more about national champs and all that other stuff. We have another segment we're going to have later on that we'll talk about that more. But again, credit to them. I think we'll just make sure, as Auburn fans on here, you'll know we're completely okay with UCF winning that game. They deserved it.
Well, we're not okay with it.
You
know what we mean.
Yeah.
They definitely deserved it. All right, let's talk about Wisconsin and Miami. That game was Miami got off to an early lead in their home stadium, by the way, which that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But Wisconsin, a lot of people counted them out because they were saying that the Big Ten was a weak conference and they didn't really deserve to be in a major bowl game. But credit them. They came out, played really well, overcome early deficit in the opposing team's stadium, and they pull it out and get a victory by double digits.
Yeah.
So great win for them.
Yeah, I know. I say a lot of people are saying this was all like on Miami though, and saying it was Miami just didn't play a good game, blah blah blah, as well. But my coming away from this was this was just a normal Wisconsin win. I mean, when has Wisconsin blown anybody out from start to finish? And that's not what they do. They're a team that's going to play good defense, and they're going to run behind Jonathan Taylor. And what did they do that game? They played good defense and played behind Jonathan Taylor. And they let Miami make a lot of mistakes, which they did. Credit that defense for that, especially on the offensive side of the ball from Miami. But yeah, this was just another team where Wisconsin's just going to plug along. They're going to do their thing, and they're just going to somehow find a way to outscore you. And that's just what they did.
Yeah, and for Miami, they finished their season losing 3 straight games. Just
Yeah.
a sign of a young team.
Oh, yeah,
They probably overperformed early in the season, and then it kind of caught up with them. But they're definitely a team to look out for next year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that more, too.
Yep. Fiesta Bowl, Washington and Penn State.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley's last game. Jonathan, how did that one?
Yep, how you expected. The team with the best player made one more play. These are 2 great teams. I thought, they're really evenly matched and they played a great game. Values back and forth. Penn State was actually able to get a bigger lead and they ended up winning by, but Washington was able to come back because they have some great players too. Browning, Gaskins, both are coming back, by the way. So we'll be talking about them moving forward too. They'll be playing well. So it was really just back and forth early, and then Penn State was able to get that big lead. Just behind Barkley, one of the best players in the country. You got to ride with him.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer to pick him in the top 5 in the NFL draft. He's just a tremendous talent, and what you saw from Leonard Fournette this season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think Saquon Barkley could make a potential similar impact. Todd Gurley, another guy that kind of went early. So, great win for Penn State. McSorley, he's back.
Yeah, he's gonna be moving forward. Yep.
So we'll see how Penn State goes in the future.
Their biggest question too is the OC position is gonna fill.
Yeah.
So we'll see moving forward. I'm sure it's Penn State. They'll be able to get somebody. But as well as Franklin's doing up there, I'm sure it won't be long.
Yeah, they're in good hands. Let's talk about a surprising bowl finish. USC and Ohio State. We were really looking forward to that game.
Yeah.
Thought the teams were pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, we got to joke. This is my room that should have been one of the play-in for the playoffs. Yeah, and it didn't really show up much. Darnold didn't show up. I think that's probably his problem. Was some of the big games he doesn't show up for. And then on the flip side, you have a guy like J.T. Barrett who you can't trust to show up. he showed up for his last night and he balled.
Yeah, completely one-sided. Ohio State wins 24-7. Darnold, kind of surprising that he entered the NFL draft after having very much of a sophomore slump type season. I would have liked to see him come back another year, possibly be the #1 draft pick. But.
Yeah, I think that's more the fact that the experts are so wishy-washy on their rankings of the quarterbacks this year. They go back and forth between Jake Allen even being #1, who didn't really have that great year for Wyoming. At a small school like Wyoming, how is he #1 and yet?
It's the intangible that you can't see, right?
Okay, Kuiper.
Yeah.
Kuiper. But yeah, it's just funny. I think that's probably what it is. He probably just thinks, you know what? I've got a big name. I've got USC next to my name. Maybe I'll get above some other guys because of that.
I think this particular game was Ohio State proving to the whole world that we should have been in the playoff because they came out there on a mission and they all played together, and it was a sight to see for sure. But yeah, was not expecting that output, that final score at all. All right, let's talk about Oklahoma State and Virginia Tech in the Camping World Bowl. That one was a pretty good game.
It was, and it was Mason Rudolph's final show. He definitely showed up. My biggest takeaway of all the game though was really, for the first time, I thought we saw Josh Jackson, true freshman, early on, which impressed me even more. The fact they were able to come back and he was able to bring them back in this game, showing that he's definitely got that pedigree and toughness that we showed all year early on. That I was like, you know what? Even when the chips are down, this kid's going to come out and he's going to keep competing and keep playing, which is great for Virginia Tech moving forward. But that was one of the biggest things I thought was the biggest difference was it was a close score game. It just come down to the fact that Josh Jackson he showed his youth early.
Early on he did, and they got off to an early deficit, and Oklahoma State looked like they were just going to kind of run over them. But credit Virginia Tech for coming back, like you said.
They've got a great defense, and sometimes when you're down big and the offense gets going, that's a boost for the defense. You're like, you know what? Maybe they're still light at this tunnel because they're not getting beat down and nothing's happening on the other end of the ball. So, which moving forward, which you can even blame some of that. Maybe even being a true freshman, getting ready for a first bowl game. You had what, a month off of play.
Yeah.
So,
and for Mason Rudolph, I mean, he finishes his career with all the major categories,
Yeah.
record holder for Oklahoma State. So great career there
for
him.
sure. And he's right in the mix for those quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep. All right, let's talk about our last bowl game, TCU and Stanford. This was a very similar output from a previous Alamo Bowl, not so long ago.
Yeah.
TCU and Oregon. Just to recap for our fans out there, it was either last year or the year before. TCU got behind to Oregon by double digits in the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah.
Same type bowl, and TCU ended up storming back and getting that victory. Well, same exact thing happens here.
It's that home cooking.
Must be the home cook in the state of Texas, but
Yeah.
Stanford got off to an early lead, and then TCU behind Kenny Hill came back, and he had another trifecta. He had a passing touchdown, a running touchdown, and a receiving touchdown in that one.
Yeah, same for those that maybe didn't watch our show all year. You know, I've been high on Hill all year. He finally stepped up, and he's showing that maturity in that game too that he showed this year from last year. Where last year he was still a young kid he'd get down very emotional. Sometimes he'd get back up from it. Sometimes he wouldn't. Where he was able to stay the course. But another give credit to the defense though, stepping up. You know, this is one of the few teams I thought, you know what, if Stanford gets up big on them, they're just going to use Love to run down the throat and kill the game, and they're going to struggle against that. Because as great as that defense was, Love is one of the best running backs in the country as well. But give the defense credit to shutting him down in particular to allow the offense to stay in this game and get back in it and pull up the win.
Yeah, and for Bryce Love, I mean, we both thought that was his last game.
No.
Being a Heisman finalist and, you know, just the type of season that he had even banged up. But he announced after bowl season that he was coming back.
Yeah, so never call a Stanford kid stupid, I guess. You know, like,
that's a good head on his shoulders, for sure.
And you got to think, you know, he's banged up all year and he finished second in the Heisman voting. How would you feel if you had a broke leg just about all year and played on it, and yet you should have won the Heisman?
Yeah.
Then you must think, you know what, next year I come back, the Heisman's mine. So that would be awesome for Stanford to get a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Really, with the bowl matchups, big takeaway for me, overall picture, was that a lot of the teams were evenly matched, a lot of close games. There was only a handful of blowouts, but really entertaining for all of us college football fans, and we hope you guys enjoyed it too. We do have another video analyzing the college football playoff for those of you that say, didn't you miss a few games?
Yeah.
We did that on purpose. We're going to do a separate segment on that and talk about if UCF is worthy of that top #1 spot. So
are they? We'll find out.
We will find out. So be sure to check that video out. But we appreciate you guys watching this one.
Yep.
Be on the lookout for more from us.
Yep. All right. Later, guys.